Good evening and welcome to the Starliner Mission Control in Houston, where teams are preparing for the autonomous undocking and departure of the uncrewed Boeing Starliner spacecraft from the International Space Station. Undocking today is currently planned for 5:04 p.m. Central, 6:04 p.m. Eastern. I'm Anna Schneider with NASA Communications, and joining me today in Starliner Mission Control is Lauren Brennicke from Boeing Communications.
Station Houston, space to ground 2 for Starliner undock status.
Go ahead, we're with you.
Hey, Sunny, both the Starliner and ISS flight control teams have pulled go for undock at this time. The expected undock time is 22:04.
Okay, copy, 22:04. Hey, we're just looking at the flight control roster and wow, it is the all-star team. You guys, it is the time to bring Calypso home. You have got this. We have your backs, and you've got this. Bring her back to Earth. Good luck.
Sunny and Butch, this is Chloe. Just on behalf of the entire MO team, I know the other flight control teams around the building, we thank you for your endless support over the years. We've enjoyed every training event and every meeting. We remember every setback and every revelation with you. The teams on the ground have worked countless hours over the last few weeks, months, and for a group of us, years to bring Calypso back, and we're ready to do that today.
We're now just over 6 minutes away from the planned undocking at 5:04 p.m. Central. As we continue to stand by for Starliner's departure from the International Space Station, I'll hand it over to NASA's Rob Navius for an update from the International Space Station.
Station Houston, space to ground 2 for Starliner undock status.
Go ahead.
ISS and Starliner flight control teams remain go for an on-time undock at 22:04. Please perform 1.106 cruise CST-100 approach and departure monitoring steps 2.2 and 2.3. Verbally call Houston when physical step is confirmed. Be advised that NDS hook motors are driving. Space-to-space comm may be ready.
ISS crew copies ready for undock monitoring.
Separation confirmed. Starliner is now backing away from station and starting its return to Earth. Starliner thrusters will then complete 2 short firings to gradually increase the separation speed to help the spacecraft carefully move away from the orbiting lab.
The vehicle is now about 2 meters away from the International Space Station. At the time of undocking, Starliner and the International Space Station were flying approximately 260 statute miles over central China.
Starliner will be beginning a breakout burn soon, which will take the spacecraft forward and above station. During this burn sequence, Starliner's thrusters will perform a series of 12 short firings. The entire sequence takes about 5 minutes to complete and allows Starliner to quickly break out to outside the approach ellipsoid, or AE. And about 4 minutes into the burn sequence, Starliner will exit the keep out sphere, or the KOS. And you can see those thrusters firing there on the left of your screen as Starliner backs away from space station.
And we are now just at 35 meters away from the International Space Station. We saw a good first burn.
Houston, ISS thrusters enabled.
Confirmation, all 27 jets have fired.
Houston copies, ISS thrusters enabled.
And you're seeing the light show there on your screen.
And the first 3 of the 12 firings have completed, and there's about a 100-second pause until the 4th burn.
And you just saw burn 4, which just completed. We're hearing good burn.
And the 5th burn in that sequence of 12 just completed, and it was a good burn. The 6th burn in the series of 12 was just completed, and it was a good burn. We are halfway through the series of 12, 6 more to go.
You might be able to see some of those lights on the front of Starliner, a red and a green and a white. Those indicate the different sides of Starliner, and they're used by the ISS crew to watch Starliner move away from the ISS along the undocking axis.
And we just heard good confirmation of both burns 7 and 8 completed. Starliner undocked approximately 5 minutes ago and has just a handful of short firings left in its breakout burn, and it is now about 150 meters away from the International Space Station. And we heard confirmation of a good burn 9, 3 more to go.
Burn 10, good burn.
We have one more burn to go, but they have confirmed that Starliner has crossed the Keep Out Sphere, or the KOS, which is an imaginary 200-meter sphere centered on the International Space Station that helps flight controllers here on the ground monitor the arrival and departure of visiting vehicles.
Station Houston, Space to Ground 2, Starliner has exited the Keep Out Sphere.
Copy, she's exited the Keep Out Sphere.
A reminder, this automated breakout sequence was chosen to use Starliner's forward thrusters, which have remained nominal during this flight.
And we heard confirmation that all 12 burns in this series of breakout burn firings have completed, and they were all good burns. Starliner has crossed the Keep Out Sphere. So the next milestone for Starliner's departure will be crossing the approach ellipsoid, or AE. The AE is another invisible shape monitored by the flight control team, measuring 4 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. Starliner is scheduled to cross the approach ellipsoid in about 10 minutes. Vehicles outside the AE have to be on what we call a 24-hour safe free drift trajectory, which means the spacecraft would not cross into the approach ellipsoid for at least 24 hours, even if it lost all maneuvering capabilities. Once outside the approach ellipsoid, joint operations between Starliner Mission Control and the International Space Station Flight Control
will lead them to a launch next Wednesday at 11:23 a.m. Central Time, heading for a 2-orbit, 3-hour, 10-minute journey to dock to the International Space Station's Rassvet module. Now, that forward port on Harmony that was just vacated by Starliner's departure will be the port of call for NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov, and their launch no earlier than September 24th on the SpaceX Dragon Freedom spacecraft off of Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. That will be about a 30-hour transit for those two crew members to reach the International Space Station and the automated docking to the forward port of Harmony. Ultimately, Hague, Gorbanov, Butch Wilmore, and Sonny Williams will do a relocation of the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft from the forward port of Harmony to the zenith port of Harmony, opening up that forward port for the arrival of the next SpaceX cargo ship, SpaceX 31, that's scheduled for launch in October. Throughout the course of the evening, keeping a watchful eye on things.
Space to ground 2 for Starliner status.
Go ahead.
Calypso has exited the approach ellipsoid. Sunny, we are ready for RWS teardown when you are.
Okay, she's on her way home. Congratulations to the undock team, and we'll be tearing down the RWS.
Copies, thanks.